Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production, and today I'm going to show you how you can do some synth brass in MSoundfactory. And this isn't traditional synth brass, which usually uses something like subtractive synthesis or something like that. I'm going to show you a slightly different way. And before I do that, I'll show you what it sounds like. So this is a device I made that's not done. I actually need to do more work on it, but I'll let you hear the sound yourself. So hopefully you can hear that the harder I'm hitting it, it's making slightly different sounds, and hopefully it actually sounds like brass to you. Hopefully more than traditional synth brass. Maybe not quite as good as samples, but hopefully it's getting there. So I'll show you how to do that in this video, and maybe in a future video I'll have a way to do it using physical modeling. But anyways, let's get started. We have here just the initial setup. I'm going to turn the attack all the way down, turn the sustain up. I might turn the gain down just so it doesn't get too loud. And the first thing we need to do is go into the generator. Now the initial sound is actually fairly simple. We're going to use an oscillator. Change it to a sine wave, which you hear it just sounds like this. Nothing too interesting. But the way to make it sound more like a horn or some type of brass, like a trumpet, trombone, etc., is to use this bend. So set the transform to bend, and then we move it up like this. So you're probably thinking like, okay, well, I kind of hear some brass, but not really. But what's going to make it sound like brass is actually here in the bend section by moving this. And so we're going to have to adjust this by ear. Let me actually turn the gain up a little bit for this. Now doing it by hand like that, it doesn't sound too good, but when we actually start using envelopes, it'll sound better. So we're going to use envelope 1, just drag it over here. Actually, I'll open it, it's actually easier. Envelope 1, we're going to add that, and we're going to look at the shape. There's lots of different shapes, but I've found that moving the attack up, maybe like 30, 50, etc., I like to have it hold for a few seconds, maybe or milliseconds, I should say, maybe 15 milliseconds. And then I need a fairly long decay. I think maybe even like 400 milliseconds is generally good. You can even do longer than that if you want, but we'll do that to start. And of course, remember to increase the depth. So let's move it to like 70 or something, and let's hear how this sounds. That's okay, but you hear that hard, like, pwah, pwah, pwah. Sometimes you want that, and sometimes you don't. You can get rid of that by moving the depth down like this. But another big problem with this is the sustain. If you move it down, it'll get even more percussive like this, which we don't really want. So I like to move it up, maybe like 4, -4, -3. Now that's sounding pretty good. That's close to what I want. For this, just for demonstration purposes, what I want to do is actually turn the velocity range to 0, which means that every note I hit is going to sound the same in volume no matter what velocity I hit it at. Okay. Now, another thing I'm going to do here, just to make it sound better, it sounds really strange to hear any kind of like brass instrument without any type of reverb, because I've never heard, a brass instrument that's not in a room. Of course, you hear it in, either like your bedroom if you're practicing, in a music room, in a concert hall, etc. So you kind of need something there. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. What should I do? Chamber? Let's see. Any of these sound good. Turn this down. Let's see. Okay, so for now, that seems all right. What I'm going to do here is maybe reduce this a little bit. This seems a bit too bright, and by moving the depth down, you'll reduce the brightness of it. Another thing I want to do is I want to control this using my velocity. So instead of controlling the volume with the velocity, what we're going to do is have the actual brightness controlled by it. So if I do this, that's a bit much. If I move it down, it doesn't do anything. I like to keep it maybe around here or so. Move this up a little bit more. This. And you can, of course, set that however you want. I might move the depth down just a little bit here, just get a little bit more range. So there we have that, but there's a few more things that make a brass sound, and you think, okay, what else could we do with it besides that? If you look in the envelope, there's a few other things besides the, attack, hold, decay, sustain. So we have the release, of course, but we also have the tremolo, and you're wondering, like, what is the tremolo going to do? If we move this up like this, it's like, okay, well, of course, maybe you could do that with a trumpet or a trombone, but why would I want to do that? And if we actually set this faster, we can make like a buzzing sound. So here it's at 6 hertz, but one of the great things is lots of melda plugins can go really fast. So let's set this around like 30 or 40 hertz, like this. Okay, I can't play very well, but you get the idea. And now, because the decay is so long, it's not starting until the sustain phase, which in some cases you want, but if you don't want that, just go into the tremolo here and just choose this. The tremolo starts in the decay phase here instead of the sustain phase, like this. So that is, of course, one way we could do it. Another way, if you think, I kind of want to actually control this, and another problem is if I go down really low with that, like here, where my actual note value is close to 37 notes, 37 hertz, it starts sounding weird. See if I can demonstrate that. You hear that? Like, I don't really want that. And that's because the actual frequency of the note is close to this. If you don't want that and you want something that'll be a little bit more consistent, I'll show you another way to do it. And we're going to go on B here for this, and I'm just going to choose an LFO. In the LFO, we're going to choose follow note frequency, and we'll probably move it down an octave. If I have it here, I don't hear anything. What's it doing? Move it down here. Like that. So there, you can definitely hear it, but it's probably too much. So we're just going to move it down. Another cool thing you can do if you actually want to adjust this is set the level to 0 here. And let's take something like our aftertouch here and set it to, like, maybe, I don't want to go all the way to 100, but like 80. Let's see. Now when I press down on my keyboard, I can control it myself. Needs to be less than that. So you can have fun with that if that's something you like. I'll show you something else. Let me get rid of this actually. Remove it. Another thing you might want to do is add some vibrato here. It sounds a little bit bad without it. And so here, if we just play it, you can hear some vibrato. Let me move it up a little bit. You probably think, yeah, that's not good. So we want to turn down the depth. I find usually around like 0.5 or so. Or maybe 0.4, 0.4 milliseconds. And then we adjust the rate. I find around like 5 hertz or so. Now, what I want to do for this is have this controlled by the mod wheel. So actually move this down. So, okay, 0.37 milliseconds. Move this all the way down to 0. Now, set this here, 0.37. Okay, and when I move the mod wheel, Okay, I can control like that. And I could do the same thing with the rate too. So if I wanted to get gradually faster, I can do that. I might set this down here like around 1 or 2. Add my mod wheel in here again. Make it go up to around 5 hertz. You can see here. Not too fast like that. No, that's a little bit less. Let me see if I can hit control while I'm moving the mouse and get it a little bit more accurate like this. So you can see that's something we can do with that. The one problem with this is, let's say if I play a chord. So you probably can't get 3 trumpets to play with the exact same phase and the exact same rate of vibrato. That's impossible. So first thing we're going to do is just randomize the phase. The second thing we need to do is change the rate, and instead of using the mod wheel all the time, I'm going to use true random, so each note will be slightly different. If we do too much, like 100%, it will be really far off. But I just want to randomize it a little bit, like this. So maybe let's try like 15% or so. Versus all the way off. A little bit of randomness. I might actually move the depth down just a little bit, maybe a bit too much. But of course you can adjust that however you want to get the sounds that you actually like. And one more thing I will show you is, you're probably wondering, okay, well, that's cool if I'm playing polyphonically, but if I'm playing monophonically? Now, one thing I might actually want to do here is actually just the attack here, because that's maybe a little bit too fast, so maybe soften it a little bit like this. So now it's in monophonic, if you listen to it. That's okay, but one thing you'll notice is it sounds weird because this envelope is being re-triggered every time I hit the note. And I'll show you another consequence of that. It will also re-trigger the global envelope, which you can see. One thing I might want to do is make it more like a real horn and turn the sustain down and turn the decay up like this. Maybe we'll make it like 6 seconds. Let me say however long you think somebody can hold a note on a horn, like this. And so as we play it, it decays. But as I'm playing legato, if you see here, you notice it's restarting every time. We don't want that because we want it to be legato. So if you're actually playing legato on any type of horn, you eventually run out of air. So how do we make it do that? We're going to go into the advanced settings here and make sure it's on monophonic, first of all. I like this mono toggle on. That means when you play a note and then you play another one and you hold down the first note, it will toggle between them. So that's kind of cool, but that's beside the point. We want to get into the voice restart mode. So here, this smooth is going to make it restart just like you heard before. But if we set it to none, now it won't restart like this. You heard that? As opposed to, or I'll play it one more time. As opposed to this. You hear that wah, wah, like that. So if you want to get rid of that, you can use smooth, or none, I'm sorry. So you get the idea, and of course you can use legato and everything else. I'm sorry, I can't play horns very well, and I'm a terrible keyboard player, but hopefully you can use this and create something nice from it. And if you have any questions about it, please leave those below. If you like this, of course, give me a thumbs up, and check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.